Hello and welcome to the archive, everyone. I am Katie, the Phantom of the Archives, and this is my TBR for Tome Topple Round 3. So Tome Topple, if you're not familiar with it, is a readathon started by Sam from Thoughts on Tomes, and it is devoted to TBRs made entirely of exactly that, tomes. These are books that are 500 pages or more in length. While Tome Topple's challenges are totally optional, the only hard and fast rule of this readathon is that all of the books have to be 500 pages or more in length. So any book you see on this TBR will be at least 500 pages. We even have a couple of 600-page monsters. And Sam will be joined this round by 6 other hosts, 3 on BookTube and 3 on Tumblr. And they are, on BookTube we have Adriana from Perpetual Pages, Kaz from Little Book Owl, and Sarah Jane from The Book Life. Then on Tumblr we have Bethany from Bibliophilic Witch, Emma from Aeduan, and Sheema from Dreamthiefs and INEJS. I'm not sure that I'm saying that name right, and I apologize if I got it wrong. Tome Topple will be taking place from April 7th to the 20th, so you have 2 weeks to read all of these massive books. So Tome Topple was not going to originally be the inaugural readathon that I would be participating in as a booktuber. I had hoped to participate in Borrowathon, which took place in March, but I'm a grad student, my schedule got in the way. So when I found out about Tome Topple, I was really excited because borrowing books from my library and reading tomes are 2 of my favorite things. So I am really excited to be here and really excited to share with you the tomes that I will be reading for this round. Now, Tome Topple has 5 challenges. They are completely optional, but I'm a Slytherin. If there's a challenge, chances are I'm not going to be able to resist trying to fulfill that challenge. That being said, I borrow a lot of books from the library, and I was a little horrified when I logged on to my library account this week and realized that I have 41 books checked out of the library right now. These are 41 books that I hope to read and review and decide by trying them before I buy them, so that if I do spend money on putting them in my permanent collection, I know it's a book that I'm likely to read more than once. I know it's a book that I will feel like there was money well spent. The point is that when I went through all of these library books, there were multiple tomes, and I decided, well, I really do need to get them read and returned to the library, so I tried to make up this entire TBR out of the tomes that I already had in my collection, and then I realized that, oops, I didn't have any books that would meet challenge number 2, so I went back to the library, and I ended up bringing back not only tomes that fit challenge number 2, but also additional tomes, and yeah. So I filmed this TBR video before, and it was just way too long because I tried to just fit every tome on this video and say that, you know, whichever ones I get to, I get to. But realistically, I have a good idea of which books I'm most likely to read, so I'm going to identify those first, and then I will be giving a shout out to the other tomes that I do have in my possession that I need to read in the near future, and we'll see. Maybe my mood will change and I end up reading one of them, but who knows. For now, let's get to the challenges and the books that I believe I am most likely to read in the next 2 weeks. So challenge number 1 is to read more than 1 tome. Did I mention I have like 11 in my possession, 10 of which I do not own and really need to return to the library? I think we're good on that. Challenge number 2 is to read a graphic novel. This is where I got in trouble because I didn't have any graphic novel tomes. I ended up bringing 2 home from the library. The first one I picked up was The Sculptor by Scott McCloud. This actually was mentioned in Sam's own TBR video. This is the story of a young man who sells his soul to the devil in exchange for the ability to successfully create any art project that he can dream up. But he starts to run into trouble when he realizes he only has 200 days left before the devil will come to collect his soul. And not only is he having difficulty deciding which projects he is going to complete and leave behind as his legacy, he's also struggling with the idea that this girl he's really attached to is going to be separated from him when the devil comes for him. I am not a sculptor, but I am a writer, and I can really appreciate the sentiment of this graphic novel. I found this on Amazon independently of watching Sam's video, but I would like to still thank her for mentioning it. I'm really glad that this was brought to my attention. I'm really excited to read it. And the second book is one that I just found randomly when I was looking through the graphic novel shelves. I couldn't leave this one behind, and that is Habibi by Craig Thompson. And this one actually does not have a synopsis on the book itself. I had to look one up on Amazon, and I'm not going to do justice to it, but apparently this is the story of two people who have known each other since childhood, and they were sold into slavery. They live in a third world culture, and their lives keep intersecting, and it highlights the differences between the first and third world countries and life in them. It highlights the effects of industrialization on a country, and it also talks about the common origins of Christianity and Islam, which I thought was really fascinating. Like I said, I'm not doing any justice to this synopsis. I urge you to go check it out on Amazon, but I can't wait to get this read because it just looks like a really great, diverse book. It looks like a great perspective. I couldn't leave this behind. I really couldn't. And where the sculptor impressed me being, let's see, what? This is actually not, oh my god. Okay, so I just realized that the sculpture is actually not quite a tome. It's literally 488 pages. It just misses the mark. I'm gonna read it anyway because it looks amazing, but ouch. That makes me even happier that I picked up Habibi. Habibi, as I remember, does not have any page numbers, but I looked it up on Amazon and it was something in the realm of like 672. So definitely qualifies as a tome. Whereas, sorry sculptor, technically you're not, by like 12 pages. That sucks. Challenge number 3 is to read a tome that is part of a series, and I have a couple of them. The first one being A Discovery of Witches by Deborah Harkness. This is the first book in the All Souls trilogy, and it follows the story of Diana Bishop. She was born into a lineage of witches, but she has shunned magic and spends her days as a researcher at Oxford's Bodleian Library. And one of the manuscripts that she requests for her research project turns out to be magical in nature, but she doesn't think anything of it. She just reviews the text and then sends it back to the archives, and yeah, it's only later that she realizes that Ashmole 782, as it's called, is actually a long-lost, highly valuable magical book that actually a lot of people are looking for, and once word gets out that this book has been found, everyone's coming out of the woodwork trying to get their hands on it. And to complicate things for Diana, she finds out that she has the ability to summon Ashmole 782, which complicates her efforts to stay out of the magical community. And of all the people that have an interest in Ashmole 782, she ends up working with a vampire by the name of Matthew Claremont, who is, and I think this is one of the coolest descriptions of a vampire that I've heard in recent years. He is an eminent geneticist, a practitioner of yoga, and a wine connoisseur. That is literally how he is described in the synopsis. I think he sounds super cool. I'm not really sure what the end game of this book is going to be, whether they are trying to protect this tome, whether they're trying to unlock its secrets, why specifically these two are working together when it is said that there are a number of people trying to get their hands on Ashmole 782 that Diana could have presumably worked with. But, I mean, not for nothing, I would have at least considered working with this guy. He just sounds like a really cool vampire. I started reading it the day that Tome Topple started, which as of the filming of this video was yesterday. So far I'm enjoying it. Next up we have the only tome that I actually own out of all the books on this TBR, and I really debated leaving it off the TBR because I want to get my library books read and returned, but this just sounded way too good to pass up, and if I'm in the mood to read it, I'm not going to stop myself, let's face it. So, without further ado, I have The Aeronaut's Windlass by Jim Butcher. This one I just hauled. I actually just finished filming a haul video with this one. It is an adult steampunk, which I have not read steampunk in years. I have not found any adult steampunks in years that have really caught my eye. This is the first in the Cinder Spires series, which is brand new. This novel just actually released in September 2016, so we haven't even seen the sequel yet. This is the story of a world where humanity lives in these spires. So the world is shrouded in mist. Instead of countries, we have these towering structures rising up into the sky, and within them we have these ruling aristocratic houses. Our protagonist, Captain Grimm, he is an airship captain. His spire, Spire Albion, is in a Cold War with Spire Aurora, and he is charged with basically acting as a pirate. He's going to disrupt the shipping lines. But then his ship gets caught up in a battle and it's severely damaged, and in order to get the resources to repair it and get it out into the skies again, he has to agree to undertake this dangerous mission. I'm not really sure what this mission entails, but I'm super eager to find out. And the third book that I'm going to mention is not technically a part of a series, but it's close. It is a tie-in novel. It also gets the distinction of being the only young adult novel on this entire TBR, and that is Carry On by Rainbow Rowell. This was another book that I had planned to read for Borrow-a-thon, but didn't get to. It just so happens that Carry On is also a tome coming in at 517 pages, so perfect opportunity. This is the companion novel to Rainbow Rowell's Fangirl. So Fangirl introduced us to Kath. She and her twin sister got through a family tragedy by becoming very involved in the Simon Snow fandom. Simon Snow being Rainbow Rowell's version of kind of like Harry Potter. As the two girls are going off to college, Kath finds that her sister has really outgrown Simon Snow. She's branching out, whereas Kath is still trying to figure out what her path moving forward is going to be and what place Simon Snow is going to have in her life as she moves forward. This novel, Carry On, we actually get to see a year of Simon Snow's life, one of his school years. Just like Harry Potter, he is a chosen one. He goes to a wizarding school. This year, everything is going to hell in a handbasket. His magic is going haywire, there's girlfriend troubles, his mentor's not speaking to him, and his vampire nemesis is not even in the school that year to rag him for all the troubles that he's having. So I've been meaning to read this book forever, and I really need to get to it, and that's why it's on my TBR, because not only is it one of the books I'm most likely to read, it's also one of my highest priority reads right now. So challenge number 4 is to buddy read a novel and to use Goodreads or Twitter to find buddies to buddy read with. I'm not really sure how buddy reading is supposed to work. I assume you're reading the same book because it'd be kind of awkward not to. I don't know. Maybe you can read different books and just say, hey, we're starting at the same time and how far along are you? I don't know. Any information you can give me in the comments would be helpful. This is the one that I'm not sure how I'm going to go about completing, but any information is helpful, and you can definitely tweet me if you're interested in being a buddy reader with me for any of the books that I have. And then challenge number 5 is to read an adult novel. As I already said, all of the books on this TBR are adult novels with the exception of Carry On, but I do have one more to add, and that is The Book of Fate by Brad Meltzer. This is an adult political thriller, and it follows the story of a presidential aide who is there the day that someone attempts to assassinate the president, and the president survives, but a very unflattering photo is snapped where it looks like he's using a bystander as a human shield when in fact he was trying to push that person out of harm's way. The presidential aide, who is our main character, is hit by a ricocheting bullet and it disfigures his face, and one of the president's friends, who is in the motorcade by invitation of the presidential aide, is presumably killed, or we believe he's killed. Years later, everyone's life looks completely different. The president was not able to get reelected because of his tarnished reputation, and this presidential aide basically did not have the illustrious career that he thought he would have. His opportunities have really dried up because of his association with this president, and the disfigurement of his face is not helping. So he actually is still working for the same ex-president, and while they are on a speaking tour, he believes that he sees the man who died in that assassination attempt. It leads him to investigate what really happened that day, and the case connects back to an old Masonic code and something to do with Thomas Jefferson, and I was down for this novel when I found out that Freemasons were involved, as if the compass wasn't clue enough. Actually, that compass is exactly why I picked up this book, because I was like, ooh, does this have anything to do with the Freemasons? Did start this book a few weeks ago, but I got distracted because of schoolwork, and now I want to go back and reread the pages that I already started, and then finish it up because it really is a very cool book, and it did have a really cool beginning. So those are the books that I know I am most likely to get to in this 2-week period. Some honorable mentions that I would like to bring up, because I know that there's a possibility that my mood could change and I decide to read one of them, is The Life of Charlotte Bronte by Elizabeth Gaskell, The Dragon's Path by Daniel Abraham, The Queen of the Night by Alexandra Chee, Benjamin Franklin, An American Life by Walter Isaacs, and last but not least we have The Devil's Chessboard by David Talbot. So there we have it, my TBR plus some honorable mentions. I want to thank you all for joining me today. If you like this video, be sure to give it a big thumbs up. If you would like to see more from me, I will be posting content weekly, so hit that subscribe button down below, and I will see you soon with a new video. Until then,